This meeting is being recorded.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
Hey, Beck.
Hi. Hi, Nikki.
Hi, darling.
My screen's. Hi, sweetheart. Lots of people. Okay. I wanted to do this because I wanted to kind of broaden like the teachings and how we actually are. We do manifest our reality, and even though we can go through very, very, very difficult times, or illnesses, anything, relationship issues, it is rather that we're manifesting either to heal childhood or understand ourselves more, and to come out of that. Bless you. Thank you, Rachel. And also it gives people that sort of an understanding on how I work, and how everything that's going on within you is actually going on in your brain, and it's between the left and the right brain that manifests your reality, your field, and what you bring in and what you experience actually has everything to do with what's going on within you. And that includes attacks and everything, because they can only work on the frequency that you hold within yourself. And that can be a very difficult mind thing when we've been made to believe very disempowered, and that's different from empowerment to empowerment is a massive jump, and takes lots of really understanding of oneself. So I usually spend 10 minutes or so, but if I can get shorter then great, because the more people I can talk to. But what I found in the healings that I've done, that I've been doing for many years now, we're all very much reflections of oneself. So just listening, if I am unable to get to you, you may find resonance with others, because we do carry the same frequencies, and although they may be different different characters and different situations, the frequencies that we carry are actually it's carried in the collective. So we see reflections of ourselves in everyone. So okay, I'm going to try and there is Bless. Right, so there's Beth Jennings. This is going to be recorded. It is recorded, and it will be put out on YouTube, so you can change your names if you want or anything like that. But okay, and you don't have to go on camera either. I can read you just with the frequencies that you give to me. So hi, Beth.
Hi, how are you?
Hi. How can I help, Beth?
Look, I haven't worked with you before, but I wanted to ask you if you could take a look at me in terms of joy.
Joy.
Yeah.
Do you have a lacking of joy in your life then?
Yeah, like in terms of just, sorry, we'll probably cry. Just like my inner sense of, I think it's just really coming up at the moment. I'm very aware of it. So, yeah, I don't want to ramble. I just want to, I'm understanding that it's not about, I find joy in a new hobby or something like that. It's about joy and well-being within myself, regardless of what I'm physically doing. So I'm very focused inwardly on that. And yeah, I'm just wondering about the backstory on that. Like, I feel like I want to touch my chest a lot when I think about this. And I saw my dad yesterday, and I'm just unraveling a lot, and I'm just suspicious. Am I running something from my father's side that's actually not even me? Because I can see that it would affect my ability to create, if I just really kind of can't be asked to be here. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. Okay, sweetheart. What I'm going to do is look in. We have two energies, the female energy, which is left brain, right brain, masculine. And our left side is who we are. It's our vitality. It's our want to live, and desire to live. And generally, if we have a lethargic problem, or there'll be an issue. Okay, so I'm just going to have a look at you. Okay, so as I stand here, Beth, what I'm seeing is your left side, your heart is on the floor. It's struggling. It's struggling. So energetically, and wants and needs and desires would be limited for your body to feel. And your head's going, what's going on? I don't understand this. So I'm just going to see if I can get a better understanding of what's taking place and how, bless you, what's happened. So as I ask that question, because your heart doesn't actually have the energy to come and connect, a higher energy has come in. And that higher energy, as I go towards the higher energy, you're taking me into a deeper layers of you. And these layers, this consciousness is outside of your reality. It's the consciousness, what I'd call the soul. And the soul has many different layers. But you're taking me to the core. Now, the core of layers is part of, well, near the core is unconditional love. There's no belief structures. There's no disconnections. It's and you're taking me up there. When you take me, you're showing the picture of you as a little girl, and the little girl, the viewing your dad as the most amazing, unconditional love for him when you're little.
He was my primary caregiver for my first 5 years of life.
Sorry?
Sorry to interrupt you. Doesn't matter.
So what did you say about your dad the first 5 years?
My mother went to work from when I was 6 months old, and my dad was the primary caregiver at home. So I had more connection. Probably everything was all messed up, that I had a father who wiped my ass and put me in the playpen, and a mother who went to work. So I know there's something I just would like to heal it.
Yeah. So your bond with your dad was very, very strong when you were little. Very, very strong. Yeah, which is good. How the contradicts and how that can. So if I tell you what I'm seeing, so what you're showing me is that the unconditional love that you felt for your dad when you were very little, and looking up at the masculine, is, it's beautiful in what you're showing me. Then your higher energies takes the other, the little you, the little girl you, and takes you towards your mother. And you don't want to be with your mum, as you feel more comfortable in the masculine. So the issue is actually not with this part with because our relationships with our mum is we're learning about the feminine, and she is a representation of our hearts, and our dads is a representation of our physical reality, of our mental side. But there is an issue with your mum at this age, not with your dad. And the first 7 years of our life has a huge impact in how we see the masculine, how we see the feminine. So when I see that you're running away from your mum because you don't want to be close to your mum, I'll just say that would be like running away from your heart and not being close to your heart. It may represent that as you get older. Like, I don't want to be close to my emotional self. That means you're out of touch with your needs, your wants, your desires, who you are. You're staying more on your mental side and the beliefs that you have. This may be a pattern because you've learnt that mum was not someone you wanted to be close to. You'd rather, it was like either or. I want to be with my dad. So I'm just going to talk to what's causing because the trauma is that you don't want to be close to your heart. And that might be a reason why your heart's on the floor and you can't feel the joy within you. And it could be relating to actually the feelings that you felt as a little girl towards your mum. So I'm just carrying on with the investigation. So as I speak to this part of your consciousness that doesn't want to be close to mum, there is a perception of the feminine that you're not wanted by your mother. There's abandonment by your mum, the feeling of abandonment and not being wanted, that you're saying mum's too busy, mum doesn't want me. And then you then take me back to the womb. Now, this is a perception, not actual reality. It's not actually how your mum feels, but it's a perception that you have as a little girl, it's how you felt as a little girl. So you then take me into the womb, and your mum was dealing with a lot of stress. So I'm seeing you in the womb, and your mum is there's a lot of stress going on. Like, how is she going to, she's worried and stressed on how she's going to handle a baby, if it's another baby or with mums, why it can be very difficult for mums to be a mum is because being in the feminine can be difficult, not necessarily the child. And I feel that your mum has very much difficulties being in her own emotional self. And that fear of being in the emotion also led her to manifest a life where she didn't want to be an emotional self. So she was frightened. And to be a mum and connect to the children live on the emotional side, should do. So when I go to the how you're feeling today, and there's actually like deeper energies of abandonment, anger, that actually is not dad, but it's mum that's causing more of the issues. Does this resonate with you?
Oh, absolutely. I'm at a point in the process where I've done so much clearing and shifting that I feel like I'm resonating a strong frequency. Like, I feel good, you know? And so not computing that I don't therefore feel joy to be in this reality. So I thought I'd work through the family parental stuff, you know, like I feel a separation now, like as in a healthy separation from my family dynamics. So it's like, okay, so there's more to do there, it sounds like, in terms of healing the family backstory, history.
Yeah, unfortunately, but it's I know when we feel like we've done it and there's more layers, it can be like, oh God. If your mum was comfortable in her emotional self, then she would have been there for you. It wasn't you that she was rejecting herself. And that little girl in you needs to understand that. It's like because the underlying anger at your mum is because of a belief that there's rejection and abandonment and pain there. Let me just give you a little bit more insight. Ultimately, children, it doesn't matter how abusive sometimes parents can be, they want unconditional love and acceptance from mum and dad. And when I go to your heart now today, that is what you're searching for from your mum. So and that may be through the understanding, because this feels like a barrier between you and your mum. Well, the barrier between you and your mum, she's like the river, and that river goes to your grandmother and then goes to Gaia, Mother Earth. So if we've got issues with our mum, we lose a connection to the deeper connection to Mother Earth ourselves. So the emotional turmoil that we have with our parents needs to be investigated so we can understand ourselves, and also the river can flow through us, because at the moment your heart is angry, so it's like attacking your mum, but it attacks you and pulls you down. Yeah. So it's and your mum, bless her, if she was able to she was scared of her feminine, because love is very powerful and it can hurt. And why she, I'd probably need to go into, but there's been a lot of pain in your mum's life, so she stepped out of her feminine, and that's why probably work was so she could be outside of her emotional state. But obviously that left you abandoned, but she didn't know that was happening. She was just on survival mode. Yeah. And that
I understand all of that. I've gone through that process, so yeah. It's nothing of what you're saying is surprising me, or like, oh, you know, I've done the womb thing. Felt that happened. So anyway, I know you need to move on to other people.
But you know, I do take, for everyone, do take one-to-ones, and there's Toto also, and there's 6 amazing women on my website that are students that have done my courses. So if you want more in-depth help on it, because if it had been done and you were like, yeah, I've done all this, then I wouldn't see it. I mean, I don't think I've spoken to you before or anything like that. So, you know, the fact that I'm still seeing it, and I don't know, and it says that it's something more here to unlock you into your own heart, you know, so you're not, the anger that you feel can, and that's fine, the pain that you feel can be released, and you can feel more into your body. And yeah. Okay,
thank you.
Okay, Beth, you take care. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. We have Nikki.
Hi, darling. How are you?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Oh,
Haven't spoken for ages.
I know.
It must be so
I'm
late
here,
for you.
so I need help. But thank you for the remote viewing course I did last year. It's been very helpful. So that's why I'm here tonight. I just want to ask a question about a particular guy in my life at the moment. There seems to be a strong magnetic connection, but it kind of runs hot and cold. And there seems to be some sort of, I don't know, some sort of past life or something. I have remote viewed, but I wasn't quite sure whether it was correct, because it seems very otherworldly, which is very me. And I was just wondering if you could look in to see the significance of this connection.
Okay. Who, could you give me the name? Is it, have you spoken about him before? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. The one I sent a message yesterday or so?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so there is so the first thing you show me as I stand here in your emotional self, your heart, you are looking at rejection. So as I go up into your soul, so I'm seeing rejection energies from the masculine to you on the heart side. So as I go into the, and this could be played out on either sides of the relationship. So feeling not accepted or rejected in some form, your heart is feeling rejected. So when I go higher up and ask why that is, you then take me into, there's pain in your early childhood of feeling rejected on the emotional side. So you have quite a strong, big energy, and that had to be dampened down, and your vibration had to be lowered in order to fit into your family. Therefore, in order to live within your family, you had to reject yourself in order for them to be able to, one, feel more comfortable and you not get told off as a little girl. And that's what, sorry?
That resonates. Yeah, wow. Okay, you hit the spot there. Yeah.
So in your belly, you hold a massive pain of feeling unaccepted and rejected by dad, by mum, by family. And this pain causes you to go rah, really like rah. And then if he triggers that pain, you go rah, and then it's like, you know, you go into like huge protection mode, and you create alternative realities on your mind to understand the pain. But the pain is actually when you're around 2 or 3 years old and how you felt at 2 or 3. So the reason you're like really attracted to him, because part of our evolution and part of us evolving is that we have to heal our pain. And healing this actually brings you more freedom to be who you are, because it seems that you go the other way in order, like, it's like your energies were too strong as a child. You like, my energies are too strong. I get told off. I'm too loud. I'm too much. And then the pain and the rejection that you feel in your tummy. And then part of how you cope with it as an adult is that, okay, fuck you, I'm going to be even louder. Yeah. And that's you're trying to heal the little girl in you, but what that's doing, it doesn't get to the root of the pain. And what he's doing is he's trying to get, like, unconsciously, like he pokes at that pain. Okay. Like, so you feel not accepted or rejected, or you feel the same towards him, like you can't accept him or rejected. So we play both parts in the pain that we, you know, you either do the mental side or the emotional side. So it's very confusing. It's like coming in, your mum and dad want you. They want that little girl. They've planned for you. They want you to come in. But when you get in, it's like, well, you don't want me.
Oh,
and that, yeah. So that could be in the relationships that you had. If you reflect on the relationships that you've had, you're like, oh yeah, they want me. And then when I get in, they don't want me. Or you could be the other side where I really want this relationship. And then you get in and you're like, oh, I don't want this.
Oh God, I've done that too.
Yeah. So that pain that you feel, it's like, because you could get stuck in the anger, or you can get stuck in like being bigger in your energies. But if you go to the original pain of where you felt, so remote view on where you felt rejected, and allow that pain to come through your body, because that emotional pain set off a structure in your brain. And that structure needs to be broken down. So that set off an anger, like a humanist, like fuck everybody, I hate everyone can just go bugger off. It set off a want to actually go towards people who are going to reject you. So you start manifesting like people who are just going to screw you over. It set off, there's another one, hang on. An isolation. So it's like an isolation energy that but then these are coping mechanisms to deal with the actual pain you felt as a little one, and understand that why your mum and dad, why you felt that off your mum and dad, because your mum and dad, they're on a certain frequency. Now this battle that we've been in is a frequency war. And there's lots of beings that have come in, lots of consciousness that come in, and naturally higher in frequency. So it's harder for parents to, it's like a rejection. They've rejected their higher frequencies as children. And then when their children come in with this higher frequency, they like start to reject them too. So there will be something in your family line where they've rejected themselves to keep themselves safe. So in your parents' mind, they were just keeping you safe. They didn't want to harm you. They didn't know because they haven't had the ability or the consciousness level to look at themselves. So it's getting to the point of understanding why mum and dad do that, because the anger comes from feeling like they don't want you or they don't love you. And that's not the case at all. They're just like in a frequency that they feel comfortable with, and they've rejected the higher frequencies as children. And if they face the rejection of themselves, then they have to face their own trauma. And mum and dad weren't able to do that. The consciousness level just wasn't at that level yet.
Okay, yeah, I'm getting a scene from a violent scene from my parents when I was 3, and so yeah, right now I'm just looking back and I'm going, okay, that's where it stems from. So I was 3, and that's when my mum left my real father and then got with my stepfather, who adored me. So thanks for that, darling. I'm going to do some meditation and some remote viewing on that, where it stems from, so that I can stop manifesting this stuff in my life.
Yeah, tricky.
Thank you so much, Becky. Love you.
You're welcome. Love you too. Take care. Okay, we have H.
Hi, Becky.
Hi. Oh, hi. Hi, Hannah. How are you?
I would really like you to look at Alzheimer's disease in my family on my mother's side. Because my mom has to go to like a nursing home soon. She's like 76, and her mom had Alzheimer's as well, and her dad, like my mom's granddad, had some kind of Alzheimer's. That's all I know about how far back it goes.
Okay, so your mum's dad, and who? Sorry,
no, my mom's mum.
Your mum's mum,
and then her dad again. So my great granddad, and my grandmother, and my mother.
Okay, let's go and have a look. Alzheimer's. So you're asking, you're worried that this will continue in?
That it will. I think it has. I think the sort of tradition has been broken with my healing, because I've done healing for many years with you and the people that have learned your techniques, and but I'm wondering, if there's some. Well, I'm wondering how it started, why it started, and also, of course, breaking the line so you can stop, so that I won't get it and my son won't get it, sort of.
Okay, I just. Alzheimer's is a lack of feminine energy within the brain. Now, some can naturally just want to give up on the feminine side and retract from the physical body, which leaves the physical body, the brain, more vulnerable. And but what I see in this is that your family, there's a lot of fear on your family line, which has gone down. There's fear. So the fears, so concentrating on one's fears is also a breakthrough into freedom, because the mind can be very frightened when there is lacking of feminine energy. And the fears that you have is also a gateway to freedom, because we can have many fears that we don't need to fear. We don't need to fear at all. But the fears can break us down. So you're taking me up to your higher energies, and you give me, there's a fear that runs through. So you're linking the Alzheimer's with fears on the mental side. And when the mental side is in fear, the restriction of the neurons, it restricts. And therefore the feminine energy, the left brain, can't talk to the right brain as much, and the flow of the body restricts. So the blood, everything restricts in your body because of fears. So now we've lived in a world, a trauma-based world, the media and everything that's happened in history to get that to happen. That you turn on the news and it is a fear-based, like everything's going to kill you and everything is to be frightened of. So this is like part of the trauma-based mind control that's been placed over humanity. And what it's got is to do is fear life itself, and that restricts the flow of the feminine energy, or the feminine just naturally just buggers off because it's scared of the physical reality. When we're just going into when I talk to your family line, you take me into your soul, you like talk to the family line. How is best to avoid this is actually to talk about your fears. To talk about your fears, because once the brain starts to talk about the fears that we have, the heart can then help, and other people around can help and bring it back into the reality. People can fear really irrational things, but they need to be spoken about to break them down so we're not frightened. Ultimately, the biggest base of fear is fear of self, because of all the manifestations, all the lives that lived here on earth haven't resulted in great manifestations. So we hold fear of our own manifestation, and these can be I think everyone's going to face their own fear of part of going from not taking responsibility to life to taking responsibility for what you manifest is a very frightening thing when you've had a past where things haven't been great. So, and it's going from disempowerment to empowerment. But talking and communicating the things that you fear, because it feels like a fear of life within your family, but there's nothing like, you're saying to me, Becky, it's not genetic, it's not like, well, it is in the genes, but it's not like, it's the fear that's in the genetics. And then if you, obviously on belief on top and fear of Alzheimer's or dementia, or whatever it is, just don't worry, just concentrate on the fears of yourself and what comes up, and talk about that. Let me just one more bit. Just for your reassurance that the fears in your family, they gave you like here, like when we go into our family lines, the frequencies that get passed down to us automatically, just going into the family line, the parents heal so much, and then it's up to us to heal. And this fear that you've had in your family line, what your mum is showing me is that you're going to break that up. Like, you're going to be the one that ends that fear.
Yeah.
So I'm very confident.
Yeah, because I'm actually not fearful of it now myself because of all the healing I've done. But then I thought maybe I'm naive, you know, because I don't want to put that burden on my son, that I will be in the state my mom is now, because it's just, it's not nice. But I know that my mom's biggest fear was actually to get Alzheimer's because she saw her mom deteriorate. So, well, yeah, just thank you. Just really nice to know that it's about fear and lack of female energy, and just not to fear it. Thank you.
You're welcome, honey. You take care. Bye. We have they haven't got their hands up. Amy.
Is that Amy T?
Yes, it is. Hi, Amy T.
Hello, how are you going?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Just wondering if you can tune in to my energy. I'm nervous. I've been watching you for so many years here in Australia and just loved you. And now speaking of you is beautiful. Where my blockage is with my manifestation, creating my reality and my visual.
Okay. With your visual, what do you mean? Are you
I struggle when meditation, everything visually, And I've been told I was a seer in a past life, and they cut out my third eye and my eyes, took away all my stuff, and that someone said they'd healed it for me, but I still seem to have a blockage there.
Okay, let's go and have a look. Amy T. Thanks for staying up so late in Australia.
My pleasure.
Okay, so as I stand here, Amy, I'm just connecting you. You fly, all right, really fast. You connect to me. You're taking me down the female line, so the left brain, down the heart line, the female energy. And then you're taking me to the start of the beginning of your life. And when I see the start at the beginning of your life, your mum, when she gave birth to you, she cut the physical reality off, and that could have been very frightened of the masculine energy. So cut dad off, became very protective. Your mum had a lot of fear. That fear that she had then gave you the perspective, your female energy, the perspective that the right side of the brain, dad, physical reality was something to be very frightened of. And therefore your heart energy connecting to the right energy was, well, that's not a safe thing to do. In order for us to get our visuals, the left and the right have to be talking to one another. We have to come out of fear. The female has to be not frightened of the masculine energy, physical reality. It has to be because it needs to talk. In order for you to get your visuals, the female energy needs to be able to talk to the masculine energy. Does this resonate?
Yeah, it does a little bit, yes.
Okay. What's your relationship like? What was your relationship like with your dad?
Yes, it has been strange. Dad's now passed. He passed last year. And I cared for him to the end, but he'd been in and out of my life a lot of my life. So I felt I'd done a lot of healing with caring for him at the end to fix that. But I also had a near-death experience in utero and decided to come back and didn't have a nice birth, but I'm not sure if that's connected then with all of that too.
It may be. It's just the layer that what was your relationship with mum and dad? What was their relationship like when you were very early on?
They separated when I was 7.
Okay. Do you know why did they separate?
Yeah, how do you sort of, I was told, I suppose, as a child, they didn't love each other anymore. Yeah, dad was probably disconnected from this reality, to be honest. Yeah. Okay,
let me just go back in. So ultimately what you're dealing with is fear in your heart. Now, this is not all of your heart, but it's frequencies of your heart that is frightened to talk to the right side of you because of perception that if we're frightened of our dads at an early age, then we're going to be frightened of physical reality, frightened of manifesting in physical reality. There's lots of fears that can pop up. Frightened of actually expressing our emotional life through the physical body. Let me just see how this affects you so you can relate to it more rather than just the visuals of meditating. Right, so because you're not getting the full manifestation because of the fear, there is boredom in your heart, and then there's anger on your mental side of I'm not getting what I want, and there's boredom, anger, and there's like loneliness, and also like because the disconnection between you and dad as a little one in the first 7 years of life, that has brought around a low self-esteem because your dad, it's not like your dad wanted to be disconnected, but your mum was so frightened Now, the masculine energy, your dad is there to provide a safety. He actually helps you pull you in your body. So the better connection with dad, the more in our bodies we are.
Mm-hmm.
And because your mum was so frightened and didn't let dad in, now it's got nothing to do with dad, but more your mum's fears ruled the relationship, then you couldn't get that connection to your body. So to help you get that connection is actually to get you to perceive dad in a different way, because there is anger at dad at a young age of him not being there. Now, what happened is, what I'm seeing is that your mum was so frightened, but also angry at dad, because she was frightened of letting him in, but also angry that he wasn't supporting her. So how she dealt with her fears is getting angry with him, like, you're not doing this, you're not doing that, you're not doing this, rather than her expressing, I'm frightened, I don't know why. And he could then come in and support her. But because she didn't express her fears, she didn't allow your dad in. And then the relationship started to break down. And she also created alternative realities about dad. So beliefs about him that simply weren't true.
Right.
Yeah. And then you live in that. So it's like an alternative reality on how you see masculine energy. So it's like actually, what's your dad's name?
Robert or Bob.
So when I connect to your dad's standing right next to me, a very strong energy. Very respectful energy, very respectful to me. And there was a change. He's saying, so what I'm picking up, he's confirming, there was a change in your mother after the children. After you're born, there was a change in your mother, and I couldn't get in. Everything that I was doing was wrong, and it triggered my trauma with my mother as a child, as my mum didn't want my dad. There was a lacking of the masculine, not wanted, not needed. So what you and mum manifested was the same relationships that we had as when we were children. It was the lack of not being wanted or needed.
That makes sense. Why I've become such a strong independent person.
Yeah. Well, that strength and independent person, we need and want. So you could take out the needs and the wants. And that's not good, because your heart needs the masculine, heart needs your body and the masculine and physical reality, and your right side needs the feminine. Yeah. So it's kind of like the first step, I would say, is changing the perception of dad. That's no blame. There's been a continuation of manifestation of the traumas, and that your mum was very frightened, and that's why she didn't let him in, and also created, and because she couldn't let him in, she also created from her fear a perception of why she was frightened. But that fear in her was nothing to do with him, but more to do with, it might have triggered from the birth or early on in childhood, in her own childhood.
Yes, it did. Yep. I'm getting that connection now. Yep.
So don't worry about past lives. It's actually, the more you start to see your dad and the more you break down the old perceptions of him, the closer you'll get not only to your dad's energy, but to your own masculine, which will then bring in easier visuals for you when you're doing manifestation, when you're meditating.
Beautiful. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You take care.
You too. Thank you. Okay. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Zoe.
Hi, Becky.
Hi, Zoe.
Hi. So today I've been feeling kind of, I don't know, it's like a bottleneck feeling in my sort of womb area, or I can't tell if it's a bottleneck or like a power leak, but it feels also connected to the throat. but there's been a lot going on. I can't exactly tell what it is. I mean, just listening to you and the other people today, I've been feeling some shifts as well. So yeah, I'm just wondering what that might be. And maybe it's also connected to finances, because finances have been really annoying recently as well.
Okay, yeah, let's go and have a look.
Thank you.
Zoe. Our wombs are a feminine energy that runs through. You take me to your womb. There's a lack of belief in your heart of having the things that you want. So when I'm looking at the light body, your female light body, you're moody and upset, like a feeling of life is unfair. I don't get what I want. I don't get my needs met. And it's like when I'm looking at you, and the feeling of you is very much like a child in a temper tantrum. You're trying to hold it together, but it is that energy of a temper tantrum. What happens what we're going through when we choose to go on the healing journey is that we're healing that inner child, so we can stop manifesting the same crap that we experience when we're children, or feeling the same ways that we felt as children, and be really free in our manifestation. So that inner child of not receiving what she wanted, I'm just going to ask you if you can go back and go back to the actual where this energy stemmed from. So as we walk back, you then take me over to the right side of the brain, the physical reality. This is a disconnection with your dad. There's a lovely connection with dad, and then as you got a little bit older, there was a disconnection. And this disconnection with dad caused anger. Now I see around 6 years old. There's feelings of difficult feelings towards your dad, or having perceptions that he doesn't want me, he doesn't want to pay attention to me, these kind of things. So it's you're feeling it is like, I can't get what I want, I can't manifest what I want, but the root of the frequency is that you can't. It's definitely daddy day today, isn't it? It's a lack of connection to dad, and not getting everything that you needed from dad, attention from dad when you're a little girl. Now it really went boom at around 6 years old, but it actually runs right through to when you were little. Dad, what's your relationship like with your dad?
So he's always worked away, although there's like a really good connection, like overall, like I feel it sort of deeper. But yeah, there was always like this frustration with him having to work away, and then he got really, really depressed working away a lot, and was like always offloading. I don't know, he started to get like really aggressive, and it didn't seem like him, so he wasn't around often, and then he got really controlling when he was around. So I guess it's something like that.
Okay, so I'm just gonna the biggest unfortunate part of all the trauma is that masculine energy, has not realized how important they are to the children, to wives, because there's been so much push away from there's so much separation because of the trauma. And the frustration that you felt as a child was because he wanted in the family, but he couldn't get quite in. And that has everything to do not with the children, but to do with wife and him, his wife and him, because the only access, energetic access to the children and what you need, there's like a dad can be there for the children, but if he's not connected to his wife, then he's limited to the access, energetic access to the children. So if you've got a mum and dad that are supporting and loving one another, and they dance together beautifully, then the children feel the natural protection, safety, security. But if mum and dad don't have that, then the children are not going to have that. Even if he was at home, the children would feel the separation because mum could just be overprotective. So what I see is that the frustration is that more to do with the relationship that he had with your mum, nothing to do with you. And because you can get access to your dad energetically, physically, because then that gave you the feeling and the belief that you can't get what you want in life. And that causes you a lack of belief in your heart, because our heart is here to, in our own masculine energy, to create what we want, what we need, what we desire. But if early years believe that, well, we can't get what we want, we can't get what we need, then that's going to create this lack of and a fear of lacking more. So but the relationship, so how you heal this, firstly, your dad didn't it's more to do with letting your mum and dad's relationship. Your dad wanted in, and that's where you saw the frustration and the anger, because he wanted more connection with your mum, but he couldn't get that connection. Your mum didn't allow that in. So it was kind of, he wanted a deeper connection with mum, but mum was like, no, this is I'm not having it. Nothing to do with he's done anything wrong, but she didn't know. It's like he knew a more deeper connection, but she wouldn't allow in. Like, she's just naturally more protective of herself, and very sort of men do that. This is what a man does, and the defining of the man and what he does, and didn't know actually the amount of support and love she could receive from him, and kind of rejected that. Let me just check. She's talking to me, so I'm just. So your heart's got to change in the way, the frequency, because it's not that you couldn't get the heart couldn't get what it wanted. It didn't allow the masculine to support. So when you are in your mode, in your energies, as you are today, you will lean more on the feminine, like, okay, I want this, I want that, I want this, but you don't actually share it through the physical body or talk about it or put it in. It's hard for you to, because you don't lean on the mental side. You lean less, you don't lean on that mental side.
recorded.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Hi. Sorry. Gremlins in the computer. Yeah, I don't know where I got to, Zoe. does that make sense?
Yeah, it
Well,
does. Whoa,
yeah.
just got cough. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
One
Good.
second.
Good.
Okay, I
Sorry.
hope it wasn't me that
Sorry
caused the grammar.
Sorry for the cut off. No. Guys, I will do another one of these and probably a bit longer because hours just not enough, but it kind of gives you the getting the understanding that we do manifest our own reality. And I do have I'm doing Patreon now. It's a Q&A, so it's where I remote view, and it's not personal questions, but it's just worldly questions, and that's on Patreon. If you're not part of that and you want to join, you could just go onto my website and join up to Patreon. That's findthelight-rb.com. Be lovely to have new faces. I do take one-to-ones, and my partner Toto, and I also I teach people how to do this. I've been teaching for, I don't know, 2 to 3 years. I can't remember the date. And there are 6 students who've done level 1, level 2, and level 3, and they're on there. So if you want to have really like a session, everyone's different. Everyone, you know, we're all different in our gifts. But have a look, and if you want a one-to-one, it's like reduced prices as well, and they're all amazing ladies. So go and have a look. And what else? I'll announce another one of these in May. I'm gonna probably make it quite regular, but yeah. Okay, well, thank you for turning up. So many people, so many people, and I may see you on Patreon, which is right now. So I'm going to do a Q&A on Patreon. So come and join us if you wish. Okay, and I'll see you all soon. Big hugs to you all.
Beck.
Thank you, Becky.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Becky.
Bye,
Thank you.
everybody. Bye. Thank you.